Leonard Leo is the executive vice president of the Federalist Society and is advising President Trump in his search for the next Supreme Court nominee. He is in Washington and joins us now. Thanks for being with us, Mr. Leo.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let me start off by asking you, have you been notified? Do you know whom the president has chosen to sit on the Supreme Court?
Yes, I'm aware of how the president's decided.
And so is there anything at all that you can give us with respect to the factors that went into his decision? What were the most important elements for President Trump as he made that decision?
He laid out those factors early on in the spring before the election and pretty much stuck with them. And they include, first, someone who has extraordinary legal talent, sharp intellect. These are his words, someone who will be respected by all. Someone who is strong, or as he would put it, not weak, in the sense that they stick to their guns, they're fair and they're impartial, they go wherever the law takes them. And then finally, a justice who is going to basically adhere to the written text of the Constitution, as he would put it, the Constitution the way the framers meant it to be. So those were his standards. And I think that's what he was looking for throughout the process.
And could you tell us, Mr. Leo, did personal biography enter into that decision as well?
Well, as with every president, personal biography does. Every president wants to see an interesting or compelling personal story, and part of that is because it's a window into that prospective nominee's character, whether they're strong and courageous, whether they're fair and impartial. And so, yes, personal story definitely enters into the picture, and it did in winnowing down this list.
I don't know if you heard our Jan Crawford laying out the contrast there between a couple of the front runners, and I know you obviously can't divulge anything ahead of President Trump's announcement, but in terms of the front runners that were spelled out by Jan, where she talked about, for instance, Judge Gorsuch having the intellect. You mentioned that as one of the top factors, obviously, that was discussed even from as early as this past spring. Would you say that was more important than perhaps personal biographical details, for instance, Jan laying out the working class background of Judge Hardiman?
No, I think for the president it's a combination of factors. It's certainly intellect, a demonstrable record of being committed to the Constitution, but also I think, integrity, independence, fairness. And in both Judge Gorsuch's case and in Judge Hardiman's case, there are aspects of their personal backgrounds which show that integrity, hard work, fairness, impartiality, sticking to one's guns. And so I think they both have elements of that in their backgrounds, and those things are just as important often as are things like, your credentials, where you went to law school, and so forth.
There have been some questions about diversity on the court. Was that ever a factor in President Trump's decision?
Well, I think President Trump's list of 21 demonstrated a great deal of diversity. There were a number of women on that list, as well as several minorities. And so I think that the list certainly reflects that. It is, of course, valuable to have varying perspectives. So I think the list he put forward was diverse, except in one respect, and that is all of those people had a commitment to the idea that ultimately under our Constitution, power rests with the people.
You'd said in an interview that the president initially said he wanted to wait for Senator Jeff Sessions to be confirmed before announcing his pick for Supreme Court nominee. Do you know why the president changed course on that?
Well, this is a very fluid and dynamic process, and it always has been with presidents. What ends up happening is, after various prospective nominees have been interviewed, sometimes you get leaks or gossip about who the next nominee might be, and oftentimes that requires you to move up your timetable. We had similar issues in President George W. Bush's administration, so it's not unusual to have to move up a timetable in response to leaks and other information that starts coming out.
All right, Leonard Leo, thank you very much for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.